Video number 1. Imagine holding a tiny 5-cent coin in your hand. A coin most people spend without a second thought. But what if I told you that this exact coin, the night Jefferson Nickel, was born in a time when the Cold War was ending? The world was changing, and America was stepping into a brand new era. This small piece of metal isn't just money, it's a time capsule. It has traveled through millions of hands, witnessed the fall of old systems, and survived decades of everyday life. And today, you're about to discover the hidden story behind this humble 5-cent coin. A story most people never hear. The 1989 Jefferson Nickel belongs to one of the longest-running coin designs in United States history. The Jefferson Nickel series first began in 1938, created to honor Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States and one of the nation's most influential founding fathers. By the time 1989 arrived, this design had already been in circulation for over 50 years, quietly becoming one of the most familiar coins in American pockets. Thomas Jefferson's portrait on the front of the coin represents far more than just a political figure. Jefferson was the principal author of the Declaration of Independence, a diplomat, a philosopher, an architect, and a man deeply fascinated by science, farming, and innovation. Placing his image on the 5-cent coin was meant to symbolize not just leadership, but knowledge, progress, and the spirit of independence that shaped the United States. On the reverse side of the coin, we see Monticello, Jefferson's famous Virginia estate. Monticello is not just a building, it is a symbol of Jefferson's architectural genius and his belief in blending beauty with practicality. The design shows the neoclassical structure with its iconic dome, representing Enlightenment ideals that influenced early America. Every time someone holds a Jefferson Nickel, they are holding a tiny artistic tribute to one of the most important minds in American history. Now, let's travel to the year 1989, the exact year your coin was minted. This was not an ordinary year. It was a historic turning point for the entire world. The Berlin Wall fell, signaling the beginning of the end of the Cold War. Systems were collapsing, new freedoms were emerging, and technology was starting to reshape everyday life. In the United States, 1989 marked the start of a new presidential era, with George H.W. Bush taking office. In that exact moment of global change, millions of 1989 Jefferson Nickels were being struck at U.S. Mint facilities. These coins were not created as collectibles. They were made for daily use, to buy coffee, newspapers, bus tickets, and groceries. Each coin entered circulation as part of the economic bloodstream of the nation, quietly supporting everyday trade, while history unfolded around it. The 1989 Jefferson Nickel was minted in 3 major locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D, mint mark; and San Francisco, S mint mark, mostly proof versions. Philadelphia and Denver produced massive numbers of these coins, making them common in circulation even today. However, proof versions from San Francisco were specially struck for collectors, using polished dies and carefully prepared planchettes to create mirror-like surfaces and sharp details. From a material standpoint, the 1989 Jefferson Nickel is composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, a composition that has remained mostly unchanged since World War II. This metal blend was chosen for durability, resistance to corrosion, and cost efficiency. It's the reason why nickels can survive decades of heavy circulation while still keeping their basic design intact. But what makes the 1989 nickel truly fascinating isn't just how it was made, it's where it has been. Think about it. This coin may have traveled across multiple states, passed through thousands of hands, and witnessed countless moments of everyday life. It may have paid for a child's candy bar, a soldier's phone call, a student's lunch, or a traveler's bus fare. Each scratch, each faded detail, each tiny dent is a silent record of real human stories. At the time it was minted, no one thought of the 1989 Jefferson Nickel as something special. It was just another 5-cent coin. But history has a strange way of turning ordinary objects into meaningful artifacts. As years passed and older designs were modified, collectors began to pay closer attention to subtle differences, minting quality, and rare errors within this series. One of the most interesting aspects of Jefferson Nickels is how the design has evolved over time. Although the general look remained consistent from 1938 to 2003, there were small changes in lettering, spacing, strike quality, and minting techniques. Coins from different decades show noticeable variations in how sharply Jefferson's hair, cheek, and Monticello's steps were struck. In 1989, the U.S. Mint was still struggling with what collectors call weak strikes, especially on the steps of Monticello. Many nickels from this era show soft or incomplete step details due to foreign dyes and high-speed production. This is why 1989 nickels with full steps clear, uninterrupted step lines on Monticello are far rarer and significantly more valuable to collectors today. Another hidden layer of intrigue lies in mint errors. Some 1989 Jefferson Nickels exist with off-center strikes, double dies, clipped plant, or die cracks. These mistakes happened during the minting process and escaped quality control, making them rare survivors. To collectors, these errors transform a common 5-cent coin into a unique and highly desirable piece. As time moved forward into the 1990s and 2000s, many 1989 nickels were gradually pulled from circulation due to wear damage or melting rumors. Yet millions still remain quietly hidden in coin jars, drawers, and old wallets, overlooked treasures waiting to be rediscovered. Today, the 1989 Jefferson Nickel stands as a symbol of a transitional era. It represents a bridge between the analog world of the past and the digital future that followed. It reminds us of a time when people still used coins for phone booths, vending machines, arcade games, and everyday shopping before smartphones and digital payments took over. To a casual observer, it's just a small, dull coin. But to a historian, a collector, or a curious mind, it's a physical piece of time travel. It connects modern hands to a world that existed more than 3 decades ago, a world filled with political shifts, cultural revolutions, and technological beginnings. So the next time you hear the soft clink of a coin in your pocket, don't ignore it, because it might not just be spare change. It could be a forgotten piece of history, a silent witness to a changing world, for even a hidden collector's treasure waiting to be discovered. The 1989 Jefferson Nickel reminds us that the most ordinary things. Video number 2. The Jefferson Nickel is one of the most iconic and long-running coin designs in United States history. It was first introduced in 1938, replacing the famous Buffalo nickel, and was created to honor Thomas Jefferson, the 3rd President of the United States, and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. The obverse features Jefferson's left-facing portrait, while the reverse displays Monticello, his historic home in Virginia, a symbol of American heritage, intellect, and leadership. The 1989 Jefferson Nickel comes from the late 20th century, a period marked by major global and economic changes. In 1989, the world was witnessing historic events such as the fall of the Berlin Wall and the final phase of the Cold War. While these events were reshaping global politics, the United States Mint continued producing everyday coins that quietly became part of history, including this very nickel. Beyond its basic design and circulation role, the 1989 Jefferson Nickel also reflects the technological and artistic standards of the U.S. Mint during the late 20th century. By this time, minting techniques had become far more precise compared to earlier decades, allowing for sharper details in Jefferson's hair, facial features, and the fine architectural lines of Monticello. By 1989, the nickel's metal composition had long been standardized at 75% copper and 25% nickel, a formula that has remained unchanged since 1866, except for the special wartime nickels from 1942 to 1945. Unlike older U.S. coins made from silver, the 1989 nickel contains no precious metals, which makes it common in circulation, but still historically important. In that year, Jefferson Nickels were struck at 3 major U.S. mint facilities: Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver D, and San Francisco S. The San Francisco Mint primarily produced proof coins for collectors, while Philadelphia and Denver produced millions of circulation coins. Because of these high mintages, most 1989 nickels are not rare today. However, uncirculated examples, proof versions, and coins with minting errors such as off-center strikes, die cracks, or double dies can be quite valuable and highly sought after by collectors. What makes the 1980 Jefferson Nickel especially interesting is that it represents the final decade before major design changes in US coinage. Just 15 years later, in 2004-2005, the Jefferson Nickel would undergo a historic redesign under the Westward Journey Nickel series, introducing new portraits and reverse designs for the first time in over 65 years. This makes the 1989 issue part of the classic Monticello era nickels that collectors love. Although a typical 1989 Jefferson nickel is usually worth only 5 cents in circulated condition, its real value lies in its story. It connects modern collectors to a long tradition of American coinage that began in the 19th century and continues into the present day. For numismatists and history lovers alike, this small coin represents continuity, craftsmanship, and the enduring legacy of Thomas Jefferson beyond its basic design and circulation role. The 1989 Jefferson Nickel also reflects the technological and artistic standards of the US mint during the late 20th century. By this time, minting techniques had become far more precise compared to earlier decades, allowing for sharper details in Jefferson's hair, facial features, and the fine architectural lines of Monticello. However, despite these improvements, minor imperfections still occurred, which is why era coins from 1989, such as weak strikes, misaligned dies, and clipped planches, have become a special niche for collectors who enjoy finding hidden flaws in modern coinage. Another fascinating aspect of the 1989 nickel is how it bridges to very different eras of American history. On one hand, it carries a design rooted in the 18th century through Thomas Jefferson and Monticello. On the other hand, it was minted during a time when America was entering the digital age, with rapid advancements in computers, communication, and global connectivity. This contrast makes the coin a symbolic link between the classical foundations of the United States and the modern world that was rapidly taking shape at the end of the 1980s. From a numismatic perspective, collectors pay close attention to the strike, quality, and surface condition of 1989 nickels. Coins graded MS65 or higher by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC can command prices many times higher than face value, especially when they display full steps on Monticello, a highly desirable feature known as full steps. These steps, located at the base of Monticello on the reverse, must be sharply defined and uninterrupted. Finding a 1989 nickel with true full steps is challenging, which adds a layer of excitement and rarity to what is otherwise considered a common modern coin. The proof versions of the 1989 Jefferson Nickel, struck at the San Francisco Mint, represent another level of craftsmanship. These coins were specially made for collectors using polished dies and planchades, resulting in mirror-like fields and frosted design elements. Proof nickels from 1989 are often preserved in near-perfect condition and are widely collected as part of complete proof sets from the late 20th century. While not extremely rare, grade proofs with deep cameo contrast are especially admired and can fetch respectable premiums in the collector market. Culturally, the Jefferson Nickel has remained one of the most familiar coins in American daily life, passing through countless hands for decades. A 1989 nickel may have been used in vending machines, payphones, parking meters, or everyday shopping, silently witnessing the routines of ordinary people. Each small scratch or worn edge tells a story of movement, trade, and time, turning this simple 5-cent coin into a miniature historical artifact. In the long narrative of U.S. coinage, the 1989 Jefferson Nickel stands as a quiet but meaningful chapter. It may not glitter like gold or carry the prestige of silver, but it embodies stability, continuity, and the enduring image of one of America's greatest founders for modern collectors. It offers both an accessible entry point into new and a reminder that even the most ordinary-looking coins can hold extraordinary stories. So, the next time you find a simple 5-cent coin in your pocket, don't ignore it, because it might just be a silent witness to American history, a hidden collector's gem, or even the start of your own treasure-hunting journey. And remember, today, it's just a nickel. But tomorrow, it could be the coin everyone wishes they had kept. Stay curious, keep checking your change, and get ready, because the next coin I'm about to reveal might completely change the way you look at money forever.